Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Mark Offinger, the principal of Mamaroneck High School, and I welcome you to the Alumni Reunion 2006. This is our annual show where we invite a select group of students from Mamaroneck High School who graduated last June, and we have them reflect on their experiences in high school and how college has been. So I welcome back all of you. It's great to have you back. And we're going to start the show by going around. We'll start with Bill and go up and down the rows. Would you please just introduce yourself by name and tell us what college you're going to?
Sure. I'm Bill Fuller. I'm going to Johns Hopkins.
I'm Emily Gilbert. I'm going to Brown University.
I'm Laura Tolchin. I go to Georgetown.
I'm Kelly Devine. I go to NYU. I'm Samantha Lyons. I go to the University of Michigan.
I told you to relax, but not that relaxed.
I'm Mary Caleri, and I go to the University of Richmond.
I'm Nina Ryan, and I go to Michigan also.
I'm Wilson Colley. I go to Wake Forest University.
I'm Cole Bosky. I go to Boston College.
I'm Noah Nathan. I go to Harvard College.
I'm Meredith Torres. I go to Tufts University.
I'm Teddy Cecil. I go to NYU.
I'm Jessie Bear. I go to Swarthmore College.
I'm Sam Kling. I go to Kenyon College.
I'm Lauren Odessa. I go to Manhattan College.
And let's go to
I'm Rachel Levy, and I go to Williams College.
Sarah.
I'm Sarah Hellerstein. I go to Tufts.
I'm Jenny Quaco, and I go to Barnard College.
I'm Jillian Windsor, and I go to University of Pennsylvania.
I'm Sarah Loiza, and I go to Stanford University.
I'm Jules Mandel, and I go to McGill University.
I'm Jamie Asger, and I go to Washington University in St. Louis.
I'm Madeline Spinner, and I go to Gettysburg College.
I'm Carrie Shulman, and I go to James Madison.
Carrie, tell them why you're laughing.
I'm Sana Martin, I go to Michigan.
I'm Madeline Scheffler, I go to Northwestern University.
I'm Rachel Matters, and I go to Oberlin College.
I'm Laura Batari, I go to Syracuse University.
I'm Eliza Schaffler, I go to Yale University.
All right, and we have three late additions. Come on in and introduce yourselves. Katie, Charlotte, and Richard, come on in. Katie, all right. Katie, if you would introduce yourself and tell what college.
I'm Katie Devaney. I go to Georgetown.
I'm Charlotte Cook, and I go to University of Illinois.
My name's Richard Scudder. I go to Colorado College.
Okay. I'm looking around. I think this may be the largest alumni reunion I've ever had in my 9 years. It is great to have you back. And as I've said to you so many times before, this was a particularly cohesive class, and you can see it from today. And why don't we just start off casually? It's been 4 months that you've been in college. How's it going?
Great.
But don't just say going great.
Sucks.
Anybody? Some impressions about the first 4 months, some thoughts you'd like to just share in general?
It's a big transition, and college is a lot harder than high school.
Really?
Academic. A lot harder.
Okay.
I don't do any work in college.
Film school.
You know, Teddy, I hope that's your sense of humor speaking. No, is the work difficult in the
I don't do any work. No, I do some.
The work's just different. Yeah, the work's just very different. It's a lot less of busy work of you turning in like tiny assignments and getting like a check or a check plus or whatever. It's a lot more just like 10-page papers, you know, due like every 2 weeks or something like that, or just like a very, very large exam. Like I took an intro to psych, and we had 3 exams and a final, and that's it. So it's just a lot different.
It's a lot more self-regimented work.
Go ahead, Jules.
It's a lot more self-regimented work. Like there's a lot more that you have to do on your own. There's not so much like everyone's guiding you in what you're supposed to be studying. So basically you can get pretty screwed if you don't like study what you have to study when the day comes to the day. So people can slack off in the beginning, but like in the end,
it's not like AP English where it's not like AP English where you know like every single person in your class and you can like collaborate on ideas and stuff.
And maybe we should kind of stay with that point. What the biggest difference so far between high school and college is, you say it's a lot less regimented and you have bigger tests given less frequently. Other people, big difference between high school and college so far?
I think also everything is weighted much more. Like I had a final in one of my classes that was 50% of my final grade. So like that's a big difference, knowing that each thing is like so dependent on what you get for your grade in the class, because, you know, in high school you have like little assignments that you hand in and they all add up to something, so if you don't do well on one thing, then it, you know, it's not a big deal. But, you know, if I were to get a C or a D on my final and that's 50% of my grade, that's not really great.
So does it kind of mean, Jillian, that at the end of the year you're not quite as sure how you're doing because
Yeah.
you have
Yeah.
to test?
Exactly.
Whereas in high school in general, you know how you're doing, and the final mark doesn't seem to be much of a surprise. Is that true?
Yeah.
Maddie?
Yeah, I think that's really true. I think also a big part of learning how to work is learning how you study, and a good way to study for yourself, because in high school you see the teacher and you see your classmates every day for the most part, so every day you have a little bit of work you have to do for the next day. But in college you might have a week where you see the teacher twice, and then you have a test at the end of the week, and you have to know how to study a little bit every night, or if you need to study a lot for the week before or 2 weeks before. So it's all experimenting and figuring out the best way.
The
You know,
library
it's-
is your friend.
Here's my home.
How about the rest of you? A big difference that you find between high school and college so far? I know everybody out there would like to hear. Sophie?
I think just living at school is really different. At home, it was like, okay, you have school and then you have your home life and they're totally separate. But I feel like at least where I go to school or we go to school, it's like, it's very integrated. Like I feel like the learning and the living is just kind of synonymous a lot of the times, which is really nice. But it also can kind of take over a little bit. Like,
Are you living in a co-ed dorm?
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why I made that assumption, but go ahead.
Wait, what would that have to do with that?
No, you were talking about social arrangements in academia and other things. So I was just curious.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have co-ed bathrooms.
Me too.
We have transgender
Gender neutral, excuse me.
This is what could make your parents frightened out there. Richard, you were going to say something. I interrupted.
Oh no, I was just unlike some other experiences, Sophie and I go to a place where we kind of have a different system, and we actually only take one class at a time, and we meet with our teachers every day. So I don't know about her, but I never experienced the seeing your teacher once a week. And, you know, you have one final for your whole grade. We see our teacher every day, and we're with them for 3 hours a day. And it's different, but I mean there are other experiences out there than just the, you know, traditional semester thing.
Is that a hard thing to be with a teacher one day every week for 3 hours?
It can be, depending on, you know, what your interests are and what you did the night before. It can get a little taxing, but other than that, it's I think it's a really good thing and a very different approach to just learning in general, and it can be a very good thing in the way of, you know, just benefiting from the experience. And you have no distractions, which are really good. Like there's no like, I'm gonna put off this tonight and focus on that. There's either you do it or you don't. And I mean, you can not do it, but.
I want to ask you something about roommates. I mean, whenever you go off to college, see, I didn't even finish and Emily's laughing. But roommates are a big issue. You know, some people live in dorms with 2, 3 roommates. Some people find it difficult. How's it been so far? Tell us how many roommates. Tell us how many roommates you have, and what kind of dorm, Emily?
I have one roommate in a very small room, and she is a year older than me. She took a year off last year to travel the world on her own accord. She's from a very different background from me. She lives in Berkeley, California, complete other side of the country, and has very specific living habits, like wakes up very late and goes to bed very early, and is always in the room, which makes it difficult to do work, and I don't know, I think I have a pretty distinct style in the way I live, so we kind of clash, but she's a nice girl. I mean, I guess
I'm just interested, Emily, clash to the extent that you'd want to change roommates?
I actually considered changing roommates for a while, but fact of the matter is I live in a dorm that's very isolated, and I have made very strong bonds with the people that live around me, so I wouldn't consider
leaving that, I guess.
But it can be hard when your roommate has completely different habits.
The thing about college and roommates is that, like, you know, going to college you're going to live with someone, so you kind of are just like, yeah, it's something everybody does, and you'll just like deal with it. But it's really not that easy.
Yeah.
Like I'm not good at it. Like I'm living with someone.
Laura, you have one roommate?
I have one roommate. She's from a tiny town in Utah. She's like a rodeo star. And yeah, like she's really nice. And we
Is
get
that
along.
a joke that she's a rodeo?
No.
Her medals.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kelly.
For real. Like I had to watch rodeo from 12 to 2:30 every night for a week. Anyways.
It's a lot of trial and error.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what it is.
I haven't had a bad experience at all.
How many roommates do you
I
have?
have 3
Noah?
roommates, and we get along really well.
See, that probably makes it easier that
I think that they did a great. No, I don't. I mean, I think they just did a really great job matching us. We had to fill out this like write our whole life down on this paper, and they obviously read it carefully because I feel like they're like these 2 of them are my best friends at school, and I live with them, and I think it's really great to have that. Especially, I also live in an isolated dorm, sort of like a overflow housing. So a lot of our friends are just in that building, and it's really great to be living with them.
You're lucky. You're lucky.
Yeah.
Sam?
Well, Michigan, the only thing we had to fill out is whether we wanted a smoking or non-smoking roommate. And I got really lucky and was paired with someone who matches my interests, and we're really close. But then I have 2 suite mates who happen to be from Singapore, and that's really cool. But both of them, and they're really nice, and they mean well, but they're so culturally different, and you're really aware of it. And it's so, like, living in that situation, they have totally different, like, habits than we do, and they cook weird things and smell.
Also, Sam and I live on like a different part of campus.
Yeah.
We're not in the same dorm, but like Michigan is honestly it's like gigantic, and there's not enough freshman housing on Central Campus, so we live in North Campus, and it's like a bus ride away. And Sam likes it. I don't know how I feel about it, but I like the people I live with. But my roommate, I think. Sometimes I really think she hates me.
I can understand it. I'm joking. But you know what, Jessica?
No, I have 3 roommates too, and I have to say, like, 95% of all our freshman housing is doubles, and then I got my roommate form, and it was like, you have 3 roommates, and I got really nervous, and I thought it was going to be really awful. And I don't know, like, I think that one of sort of the misconceptions about college is that, like, not everyone gets stuck with, like, crazy people who don't listen to you if you tell them to respect your privacy or, like, respect your time. And all I really have to do if I want to be let to work in my room is just ask, and I will. And then it also turns out that I really like living with people, and I remember when I first got home and I was in my room in December and like went to bed alone, it was so lonely.
I was so lonely.
So are a lot of you really happy to be home now and just to have the privacy? And maybe we can segue.
So bored.
Maybe we can segue to just something. The first year is characterized sometimes by homesickness, particularly the first semester. Were you homesick when you got to college? Richard's looking at you. Are you kidding? No, honestly, were you homesick? And at this point, how does it feel being home after a 4-month hiatus? And can I just take some people who haven't had a chance? Yeah, Rachel.
I don't think I was homesick as much as I was I hadn't really been put into a situation where I had to like completely go out and make new friends, and I was used to having such a support system of friends at home and like just this like comfort level. So sort of being thrust into the situation where I didn't have that support system was a little bit hard for the first couple of weeks, but you know, you meet people. And
The rest of you, Rachel?
I mean, I had the same thing. I was just very weird at the beginning to be there, and not, you know, everyone is kind of by themselves and not really sure what's going on, but then you realize that everyone is, you know, looking for their friends too. And now being here, and you know, it's just so weird not having people like with you all the time and always having other things to do and places to go, and it's, I don't know, I mean, I'm already ready to be back at school.
But don't you have your brother to be with?
Yeah, that's great.
You know, I wanted to ask you something about size. Michigan is a very big school, and when you're picking a college, very often the counselors will say to you, do you want a large school, do you want a small or a medium? Has size meant anything to you? Are you happy with the size? And if you could
Size
just tell,
matters.
since people don't know out there, if you could just give us the approximate, is it very large, medium, or small, and are you happy with that kind of thing? Madeline? And then
I'm
Charlotte?
at a really small school. It's 2,500 students, and I really like it. It's really comforting. Like, I'll go out and I know everyone. Like, I'll walk around campus. I say hi to everyone. I really like that. And I went to go visit Michigan, and it was such a different experience. And like, they were kind of like, oh, I don't know, like half these people here. And I was like, I know everyone. Like when I go out, and it's just, I like it. I don't know.
Charlotte?
I go to a really big school, and I like it. And
How big, Charlotte?
It's 24,000 undergrad. And like mine's like the opposite of Madeline. Like when I walk around like to class, I won't know anyone.
Yeah, me too.
But I like it.
And that's okay with you?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sana?
Yeah, like I go to Michigan. It's 36,000 undergraduate. It's, you know, the same
No,
26.
it's
Is it 36? It's 36. Oh, yeah.
Don't fight amongst yourselves.
And like, it's kind of funny, like I go to school with Nina and Sam, and like they live like 20 minutes away from me. Like we're like in the same school, but you need to get a bus to like go to their room. It's just like a completely different thing. You can't get around as easily, and but I like it. It's exciting. There's something about it that's just really cool.
Meet someone
Meet
new.
a
You
number
can
of
always
people.
meet
The number of
someone. You
people.
literally
Yeah.
meet
Yeah,
someone new
it's like
every
a
single
little
day.
city.
Yeah. Cole, you were going to say something about size?
My school has about like 8,000, so I feel like I kind of see both sides of it a little bit. I meet a new person every day, but at the same time, I never like walk somewhere and don't know someone like well. So like every time I'm going to class, I'll see someone I know well, but each class I'll meet a new person, you know. So I kind of see both of it, and I think it works well.
Good. Who hasn't said it? Sam?
Well, I also go to a small school. Kenyon has like 1,700 people. But I don't know, it has its advantages and disadvantages. Like, I do see people I know, but people get like reputations. Like, you walk down Middle Path and you see a guy and you're like, oh, he's the gay crack addict. Like, oh, I'm like.
Sam, could I remind you you're on television?
Well, it's something that needs to be talked about. Which can be nice, I mean, because I like gay crack addicts. But I mean, it can get annoying after a while. But I like it, for the most part.
One more on size, and I want to move on to something else. Somebody who hasn't spoken yet. Jenny?
Well, I go to Barnard, which has 2,200 people. But since it's part of Columbia University and in New York City, it's really nice because in my campus, I basically know everyone. I walk around, I run into people that are in my hall, that are in my classes. But when I walk out the gates or across the street to Columbia, I don't know anyone. It's just really nice because I have the really small environment in my campus. But then I walk outside and I'm in the entire city and I have like everyone else. So
Right.
it's a really interesting experience.
I want to ask you something about academics. Is there one course, I know freshman courses are mainly required, but is there one course you're taking that you really love?
Yes.
Oh, Laura, you've pierced me too. Laura, I said be honest, but, and if there is, tell us what course it is and what makes that course really good for you, extraordinary. Mary.
I take a course, it's called Interpersonal Communications, and it's part of the Rhetoric Communications major at my college. And I'm really interested in psychology. I think that's what I want to major in. And I took intro to psych at the same time, and I saw like a lot of overlaps. But it was just like really interesting to learn about. It was a lot about just relationships between people and like dealing with things like conflict, and just how to have a relationship with someone, be really like healthy and successful. And it was just like an incredibly interesting class. I really enjoyed it.
Another course, Bill?
I took an intro to Greek philosophy course, mostly just on a whim. A lot of people know me here as like a really math science kind of guy, mostly. And so, I took a philosophy course just because I had an elective to get rid of, and I'm like, oh, sure, that sounds interesting. And I had this really amazing professor, and I took the course, and I loved it so much that I'm actually considering maybe majoring in philosophy. Me too. And it's really nice to have that kind of experience, just because it opened me up to something new that I didn't think of and now it's going to be like a big part of my college experience. So it's definitely a good thing to take courses just because you can.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, isn't that part of not being able to decide right away what you want to major in? Sometimes you get to college and people are pushing you to say, what do you want to do? When you get a course like this with a teacher like that, and it can change your life. Eliza?
Oh, I actually, both of my art teachers, Mr. Klein and Mr. Murray, went to my school and they recommended this art teacher, Robert Reed, in the art department at Yale, and they sort of didn't tell me that he was going to be the hardest teacher in the art department. And it was called basic drawing, so I was slightly misled. But I got there, I basically was a hermit. I was holed up in my room all the time doing art. I actually constructed this giant still life on my bed and wasn't able to sleep on it all semester. But it was so work intensive, but it really paid off, and it was really, really great. So I'm very happy I did that.
That's terrific. Somebody who hasn't yet spoken would like to? Sarah?
I actually had an opportunity to take a class. It's an introductory seminar, so basically there were 8 kids in the class, and it was led by a professor in the chemistry department who, it was based around his book, and he actually, so basically we were working with his own text, and he was really old, he was like 900, so he was a little bit vague about some stuff, but it was a really interesting class, and it was actually based in chemistry.
Are you a chem major?
God, no. I would not dream of that. But it was definitely, for me, something like chemistry had always been very frightening, and it kind of took chemistry and put it into a real world context. And so now I actually am sort of thinking more into the sciences because I took this class. And I think that if you take things that are a little bit out of your comfort zone, it'll really open up all the opportunity and possibility that comes with going to college.
You know, it's so interesting. It's kind of the reverse of what you said, Bill. You're a math science person, but you took a philosophy course, and quite the opposite with you.
Pretty much.
No, of course, that you love?
Yeah, I also had a really interesting seminar experience where they have this program at my school where they pair senior professors with 12 freshmen in a class. And I got completely, essentially randomly, because I didn't know this was going to be the case when I signed up for it, paired with this professor who had, it was called Presidential Elections and Campaigns. She had worked for the Carter administration, and she is a sort of bigwig around Washington, and she brought in special guests to teach our class, and these included senators, former vice presidents. Wow. It was incredible, and just been like a dream this semester, just meeting these people. And there's no work in the class either. Just, I didn't even know. I know everything from this point is going to go downhill, so I feel like this semester is just
yeah, and I guess for you it was so unexpected too, all of those guests. Right?
Yeah, I had no idea that they were
right. Right, Meredith?
I had a really unexpected opportunity because I took AP English your senior year and kind of blew off AP, and so I was stuck in English 1 with like all of the mechanical engineers who had never taken an English class in their life, and I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be the worst thing ever, English 1 again. And the class wasn't that difficult, but she put this focus, the professor, she was like really intimidating the first day. I was like, what did I get into? She put this focus on like pedagogy of like minorities, and then she did another flip with like pop culture, but put it like a very scholarly turn on it. And it was really interesting because it was a class that I thought I was going to be dreading, and thought it was going to be just absolutely ridiculous that I had to take it, but it turned out to be my favorite class.
That's great. Anybody else a favorite class? Sarah?
I took a Spanish class this semester, which was just reading a lot of Spanish plays, and it was nice having come from high school and just doing like grammar and vocab like for 6 years to finally be able to like apply that and read something interesting and not have to do like busy work all the time.
I see. Emily?
I actually also took a language class that ended up being my favorite class. I took elementary Hebrew, which was like a conversational modern Hebrew class. It was something I never really thought I'd take, and took on a suggestion from actually Suzanne Ouchler, who is also a graduate here. Yeah, and it was very different. It had people from every single year. There were only 15 of us, and the teacher has us over every Friday night for dinner, for Shabbat dinner. So I've kind of developed my own family. These people like take really good care of me, and vice versa, and it's just become really nice, and it's definitely my favorite class.
Can we talk for a minute about family? I'm looking around this group. You were involved in an extraordinary number of extracurricular activities, including you were. And those, I guess those activities became your family, people in them. And I'm just wondering, now that you're in college, are you still involved in some extracurricular activities? I mean, I look around here, we have student government, we have athletes, we have PACE, we have music, we have clubs, we have over 60 clubs in Mamaroneck. How has that been transformed as you've gotten to college? Wilson?
Well, I found best way to meet people at school, especially if you're not very outgoing and you need ways to meet people. Just join a group, join something that you want to participate in, and generally you find a great group of people. Like I joined the Frisbee team, and in 2 weeks, everybody was friends. We'd all go out together. We all hang out, and it's just a ton of fun. So if you need to meet people and you really want to make friends, like outside of your dorm area or whatever, then go join a group that you're interested in, and it's awesome.
And Maddie?
I am a part of National Student Partnerships, NSP. I don't know if you guys have this at your school. And what I love about it is it's not giving back to the Northwestern community, it's giving back to the Evanston community, which is where my school is. So I volunteer there once a week, and you help people who come into the office. You have clients, and you help them find jobs, write out resumes, healthcare, taxes, apply for food stamps, housing. So it's just a great way for me I go to class and go out to lunch and dinner with all my friends on campus, but then once a week I am forced to go out into the community and try to help as many people as I can. So that's been really important for me.
That's nice. Katie, and then
well, I play field hockey at school, and so I had to go 2 weeks before school started, and it was like you basically got thrown into a situation with 20 other girls, and they're like, oh, you're going to be doing everything for hours every day with them. Luckily, they're like my best friends, but it's made like coming so much easier because like everyone comes to school, and like that first week before school starts, it's like parties and going out and stuff like that. But we were like in preseason, so we couldn't go out and like meet people. And definitely in the beginning, I was kind of like nervous. I was like, I'm not gonna have any friends that aren't on my team. But it turned out to like the best thing for me, and it was so much fun. And the girls are like awesome. So.
Katie, do you have enough time for sports? I heard that in college, the number of hours you have to devote to sports is absolutely incredible.
It is. Yeah, we had practice like for 4 hours every day, and between like the time you get there, leave, shower, and like everything, you're there for so long. And sometimes like away trips, you would miss like a ton of Friday classes, and you have to like schedule everything around your sport. It's not like oh, you have this then. So everything is definitely like scheduled just around like your practice times and everything like that. So it was really hard with school the first semester. I only took 4 classes because it's just too hard because there's so much time you can't even think about it.
Julian, you going to say something?
Oh yeah, mine was kind of in relation to what Madeline's doing. I'm involved in the West Philadelphia tutoring project at my school. So basically it's like a very large organization on campus, and all these Penn students go out into West Philly high schools, middle schools, and elementary schools, and they tutor these kids for free, and it's just like a community service project. But it's like, it was a great experience for me because, like on my campus, it's like, we're in West Philly, but it's like very enclosed. Like you walk a couple blocks around it and you feel very safe, but if you go like maybe 5 or 6 blocks out, it's like completely different, and it's like not as nice of an area. So it's like, it was really nice for me to know that I was like making a difference to these kids in these schools, because I worked at a elementary school, and so there were a few days when my tutee wasn't there, and like I'd have to go to the lunchroom to pick her up, and all the little kids would be, oh, can I go with you today? Can you be my tutor? And like it was so great. They were so cute. So I had like a really, really great experience doing that.
That's so nice. Richard?
I played lacrosse and I swam in high school. And when I got to my school, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I knew I wanted to play a sport because it does, as Wilson and Katie said, it introduces you to a large group of people, and you're with them a lot, so you kind of bond with them, and you can have a pretty solid group of friends. But it also helps you. I find that if you know you have something to do at college, then you have to schedule around that, and that kind of keeps you in check and keeps you in line. I have a roommate who doesn't have anything to do, and he doesn't keep in line, and I'm very grateful for sports for kind of making sure that I get all my stuff done. But I actually had a pretty bad experience because I tried to, the swim season was first, so I tried to swim, and it wasn't a question of whether or not I could make the team or anything. It was a question of whether or not these were the people that I wanted to spend all of my time with. And the team at my school was kind of almost elitist, and they were the only people I had met on the campus, which is very outgoing, very open, everyone's friends, and they kind of kept to themselves and kind of shunned off anyone who wasn't on the team, and really, it was kind of eerie, like, to be with them, and they were like, oh, like, this is your family now, and this is who you are, this is what you're gonna be, and I'm sitting there like, no, it's not. I'm gonna get out of here. So I actually ended up dropping swimming, which was a huge thing for me because I've been doing it for so long. But then I devoted all my time to the lacrosse team, and I found a great bunch of guys who are very into what I'm into, and we get along great. And if ever they're having a social gathering and I don't feel like going to it, it's not like, why are you shunning us? Why aren't you with us? And it's so it can be good and it can be bad. I've had both experiences so far.
That's very interesting. Sarah and then Sophie.
I'm actually doing something I did in high school. I did a cappella in high school, and I'm actually doing it now in college as well, and just basically finding it to be an incredibly wonderful experience and very, very different from what I did in high school. But for me, it was really good because I live in an all-freshman dorm, which I love, but because of that, like, I have my RAs and all that, but it was really good to have people who are upperclassmen who are my friends, because it just really, like, opened up. I mean, like, I could have access to a car and go places and do all these different things, and also just a lot of advice came to me from that, and like kind of getting to know school a little bit better and kind of opening it up a little bit was really good. But yeah, I've actually had a really good experience, and it does, like Richard was saying, it really does force you to, like, I couldn't afford to, like, not plan my time and, like, you know, just mess around, because if I did that, like, I was devoting so much time to singing that, like, I wouldn't have, you know, stayed afloat academically.
Sophie?
In high school, I was really involved with STAND at this school, like the Dark 4 Action Group. And when I got to college, there wasn't a group on campus. And so I was really torn because I wanted to continue doing that sort of stuff because it's really important to me. But I was really nervous and hesitant as a freshman to start a club. But I think one of the benefits of going to a smaller school is that I decided that I was going to do that. And because it's such a small, close-knit community, there was, like, a huge outpouring of, like, support and teachers and, like, I don't know, this, like, center within the school took on STAND, and now it's like a pretty substantial club. And like, I know that at Oberlin are the freshmen doing the same things. They're starting a STAND at their school. So if any lower, like, high schoolers are watching this, if there's something that you do in high school that you want to continue in college, if you find the resources, it's really, really easy and exciting to get it started. And again, I've met a lot of really cool upperclassmen as a result, and I've really connected with the Colorado Springs community as a result as well. So you should.
And you know, I find that interesting because you were a social activist in high school. You were involved in a lot of courses, not just this, and you're starting it in college, so that's terrific. Nina?
At Michigan, there are over 1,000 clubs or things that you join. So it's pretty overwhelming, and I found it really difficult to get involved because, like, all the clubs, like, I don't know, for, like, the young, like, political group clubs or something, for example, have, like, hundreds and hundreds of members. So it's, like, really, it's almost, like, discouraging, like, if you keep going to meetings and no one really notices. So, and it's, like, hard to get involved in them. But they also, I joined the Greek life system, so that's, like, my, like, main club, I guess. I don't know. So I rushed, and, like, I'm in a sorority now, and, like, I never really knew how much philanthropy sororities were involved in. Like, it sounds like kind of, like, you think, like, oh, it's for, like, social, whatever, but, like, it actually, like, I get emails constantly about, like, things that I have to do and, like, clubs I have to join that I have to, and you have to do, like, a certain number of things as a term, and you have to get points and, like, all this stuff. And so I've been doing, like, through my sorority, I've actually been involved in a lot of philanthropy, and that's kind of interesting, and it's kind of fun. I don't know.
I had a similar situation to Nina, where, like, my school is really big, and it was really difficult to get involved in, which was kind of scary to me because I felt like that's all I did in high school was, like, join these clubs or whatever. And I had a class during the club fair, and I just missed it. And then I couldn't find any way to get involved. But then it, like, turned out to be okay. Like, I figured if there were really something that I cared a lot about and that, like, I really wanted to do, that I would have found it anyway. And it gave me, like, time to really concentrate on my work, I guess. But that's something I should have probably done more in high school. But it's kind of sad, though. Like, I mean,
I think that a lot of freshmen are, like, really, really eager to, like, get involved. But I mean, I had to remind myself a couple times that, like, it took 4 years for me at this school to, like, realize what I wanted to put my time into and to like get like a school identity. You know, like it takes time and it's a process. And if you just like join these clubs just to like, you know, you have to like realize what you want to do.
You're not building a college resume.
Yeah,
exactly. Which is really nice.
Yeah.
And
Like,
like,
you don't want to spread yourself too thin like the first year. Like there's so much to do. You're living on your own. Like I'm in another country. I'm in like in Canada. I have different currency, like exchange rates. I have to like pay my own bills, and like you want to be involved. Like I was really involved with AIDS awareness in high school, and I joined Global AIDS when I got to McGill, but there's only so much you can do. There's so many, like you do a walk or something, you raise like $100, but sometimes it just seems so small in the grand scheme of things. And like you're doing classes, you're trying to do extracurriculars, but like it's the first year, and a lot of it is just adjusting
That's a
to
good point.
living on your own. Like
Yeah. Jamie?
To add on to that, I've always kind of seen things that I want to be involved in and tried to be involved in more than I could kind of handle. And in high school, I remember like my mom would occasionally be like, "You're spreading yourself way too thin. You need to drop this or this," and I'd be like, "Fine," and like get really mad about it. And then when I got to college and I like saw all these different opportunities to get involved, I got like really overexcited and like wanted to join everything. And like then one day I just kind of sat down and I was like, I cannot handle all of this at once, and I kind of had to like do that for myself and take away things that I really couldn't make the time for in my schedule, because you do have to manage your time.
But I guess you had to go through the process yourself and find out.
yeah, that's the
it was
thing
too
is
much.
like, you know, you can, it's not like an MHS where like there's one club that meets Monday lunch, one club that meets Tuesday lunch, you know, something like that. Like if you're going to join an organization, like you have to be really devoted to that organization. You know, like for me, I'm a photographer on the Tufts Daily, and I'm with this little tiny group called Apple Jam, which brings in all these indie bands to play on campus. But I mean, I was interested in Pangea, which is a social activism group, the knitting club, the, you know, like I want to write for the Daily too, you know, and there are all these things that you want to do, but you really do. You have to streamline
That's
yourself.
right.
You know, you just don't have all that
I
time.
want to ask you something that's very important to people watching out there. Did the high school prepare you well for college?
Absolutely not.
You can make me.
I mean, honestly.
Strike that last comment. No, and I want you to be honest, because there may be things that we can do in terms of students in the future that we're not doing as well as we might. So I really do want you to be honest, Teddy.
I think that the biggest adjustment and like aspect in terms of responsibility when you get to college is balancing your social life with your academic life and everything, because now it's all one thing. You know, you don't have anybody guiding you, telling you when to go to bed and stuff, or anybody, you know, who to ask, like what to do. You just have to do it all on your own, you know? Like if your roommate has a problem wearing clothes, you know, it becomes a, you know, a group problem.
You know, I knew you would warm up as we got going.
Yeah. And you have to, you know, and you have to figure out how to combine like that. Like, for example, when I started college, I guess, I don't know, a semester ago, that sounded really weird. Yeah. I had 2 roommates. Now there's one, but over a period of time, we had 3 people move in and move out because they couldn't sort of survive in the room that I survived in, because we have like different systems, you know. And so we just kind of, you kind of have to figure out how you work best, and it's so difficult to figure that out, to say, you know, all right, now I'm gonna hang out with my friends and not worry about schoolwork, or now I'm gonna worry about schoolwork and not hang out with my friends.
And how about the rest of you? Did we prepare you well for college? Who hasn't had a chance? Liza?
Well, for me, it depended. In a place like English, I found all the writing stuff that I learned in high school to be extremely helpful. Oftentimes, though, I had to kind of unlearn what I learned in high school. In art, I had to do that in a big way. Also, I took an introduction to ethics class, and nothing could prepare me for the way that papers were written in that class, and it was really hard for me to sort of unlearn the structure that I had learned in high school. But I think, in general, everything was pretty useful, so it was good.
How about the rest of you, Jesse?
I think, I don't know, for me, like, it's a really big change to be a freshman again, especially because, like, the last 2 years of high school, it's such a different, just, like, mindset, is that, like, I'm an upperclassman, and even though our classes at the end of high school became more like college classes, just, like, the status we had is just, I don't know, I got to college and I took a class with 100 people in it, and it was really strange, and, you know, it wasn't like,
one-on-one with the teacher discussions, which I know I'll get in college, but it's sort of going to be in a couple years. So I had to sort of think back on how it felt to be a freshman at the beginning of high school versus like being a junior or senior in high school.
I see. Rachel?
Yeah, just sort of to add on to that, like, I found that I really, in high school, like, it was a very nurturing environment, and I think that was great, and that really, I was able to, like, develop a lot of things about myself that have sort of carried over. But I don't think I was really prepared for, like, some of the harshness in academic life at college. And I think it's great, and I'm really learning a lot that way, but...
What do you mean harshness?
Well, I took this technique in form and poetry class with this professor who is fantastic, and I love her, but she's very harsh, and she doesn't baby people, and I would get these poems back, which would be like with one line circled with an arrow towards it, this was the only line in this poem like worth my time, basically. And like, you know, stuff like that, and it's and you know, she's right, but it's hard to sort of learn how to deal with that, and like say a lot with the creative stuff, like where, you know, in PACE it's a nurturing environment and learning how to express yourself creatively. But now in college, you know, I took this theater class with this theater professor who's actually my advisor, and I had a class where he almost made me cry, like in class, and you know, I'm learning a lot that way, but it's a whole different perspective now.
Has Rachel's experience been yours, that the high school nurtured you, but then suddenly you got to college and it was like jumping into the deep water?
Yeah. A lot of like preparation.
I'm curious. Go ahead. Who has not spoken? Like Bill?
Yeah, I'd say to a large extent, pretty much, because like I feel like Mamaroneck prepared me very well, like academically in terms of like teaching me stuff, and like I don't feel like I'm behind in what I already know getting to college, but in terms of the difference in environment, both just like because you do have to push yourself and schedule yourself and everything, and that's not really something that you can really learn in high school, I don't think, in any high school. And it is such a nurturing environment. The teachers really do care about you. And then I walk into my 180-person physics lecture, and you know, all of a sudden, no one really cares about anyone else in there. You're hoping that I'll fail, so you don't have to do as well.
Of course, that might change as you go up the ladder and you have smaller classes.
Yeah, maybe.
It just might be a product of freshman year.
Might be, but the environment gets a lot more.
Yeah,
And it's just like things that you don't realize are a big deal are like, I had an issue with my Chinese class where I got placed into a level that was like, it was 5th semester or something like that, and everybody in the class was Chinese. I am not. So they were like, the entire class was conducted in Chinese. I was like, I have no idea what is going on. So just the fact that I had to like rearrange my schedule and actually drop a class for another class, like, you know, it's not something you think that's going to be like this crazy, overwhelming, you know, weird thing, but it is, because you're the one who has to make a decision on the level of the class, and then has to rearrange your schedule to deal with it, you know, and you don't have a guidance counselor, you know, being like, oh, well, if you need to change this and this, you can swap AP that with AP that or something like that. You know, you just don't have those options in high school.
Charlotte, you wanted to say something?
Oh, I was going to say, well, another big adjustment for me, like, I have a biology class that's 700 people in it, and, and the professor, he'll speak so fast, and I feel so overwhelmed, like, I don't know what to write down and, like, what not to. So big classes were definitely a hard transition for me.
I hate eating in the cafeteria.
Kelly, where did that come from?
It really is. It's so hard, and it's so true. I thought we were so much cooler than that, like, because we didn't have to here. And now, and then like in the beginning, I tried to avoid it because, like, you know, I'm in New York City, I can go eat anywhere I want, and then I realized that I have no money and left, so I had to use my meal plan.
I'm trying to focus on academics, and she's moving to the cafeteria. I got it. Carrie, I don't mean to put you on the spot. Did high school prepare you pretty well for college?
Like the food aspect?
No, Carrie, academically.
I love the cafeteria. It's like just a buffet, like every
Carrie, we're talking about academics.
Academics. We all know you take classes in college.
Yeah, but like, there's like the issue of like when you can, in the beginning, it's like, if you eat alone, you're kind of sad, but now, like, now I can eat alone because I know that I have friends that are in my dorm. And, like, I'm not just eating alone because I don't have friends.
Yeah, it's just weird. This kind of stuff, though, like, it actually really matters.
Yeah.
It does.
It really does.
Yeah.
And, like, it changes my whole day.
It makes you feel like you're in high school more. It's like,
and it's really judgmental.
Like, in ways, I feel younger and, like, less mature in college than I did in high school. Like, I do.
That could be what you said about you're becoming a freshman again, and it's hard. Can I ask you something else that I think is very important for you to say today? We have seniors who just got accepted early admission to college, and we have a number of others who are still waiting on decisions. Do you have some advice for them? You know how frenetic it can be, just getting you. But looking back on the experience, the whole college admissions process, do you have some advice that you could give students in school today? Mary?
Just say for people who, because like, I mean, obviously it's ridiculously competitive, and there are like so many people who haven't gotten in. Don't give up. Don't you give up. I got deferred and then waitlisted, and then I got in to like the school of my dreams. So it's just like, and even if I hadn't, I would have been at a different school, and I probably would have been just as happy. So you just need to like, you just need to go into it just not really with like the highest expectations for one place especially, and just, you know, just know that
That's a good
it's
point.
like, it's really like what you make of the school, like wherever you end up.
Exactly.
You shape it.
Sam?
I applied to a million schools. I didn't know where I wanted to go. I didn't apply early. I was a mess. And I just, on the whim, I got into Michigan in December, wasn't even considering it. And then when the time came around, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go to Michigan. And I decided on a whim. And I think that everything happens for a reason. You have to just relax, and wherever you go, you're probably going to have a good time. You're probably going to grow and become more responsible and have the time of your life. So.
And the next year, when everyone else is applying to college
laugh
and
at
getting
them.
in, it's like the greatest feeling in the world.
That's great.
I think, like,
Teddy?
I mean, it doesn't, I think you should listen to what everybody else has to say, like their war stories about, you know, different colleges and what they think, but you have to take it with a grain of salt. You know, don't worry about it, because the truth is your ideal school, the one that you want to get into but aren't going to get into, it's not what you think it's like anyway.
Yeah.
You know, like when I don't know, ended up, I applied to Tisch School of the Arts without like even really telling my dad, because I knew that he, I don't think, would have been as happy as if I applied to an art school. But then I ended up going there, and he ended up being cool with it. And I think that, you know, so like I didn't expect it, but once it came, you know, it was like, you know, all right, this is awesome. And even when I went, it was nothing like what I thought it would be.
It seems like you're saying that what seemed like a momentous decision, and it is important, I'm not underestimating it, in terms of when you get into college, you adjust and you're pretty happy with the college you get into.
The fact of the matter is that like most of the people.
But let me give, I don't mean to be rude, but I just want to give some people who haven't spoken. Sana?
Well, I mean, I guess I just sort of wanted to say, like, it's hard to realize there's no perfect school. There's no perfect place for anyone. Nothing is perfect. And, like, I only applied to Michigan. I got in mid-November of last year. And I just, you know, I wanted to go there. I got in, and I went. And it was, like, my dream school, my perfect school. And I got there, and, you know, it's not perfect. I mean, I love it. And it's great, but it's not perfect. And for me, that's what I thought it would be. I thought college is perfect, this is where I want to go, and it's going to be amazing. And it's not. I mean, it's amazing, but it's not as amazing as everyone thinks it is.
Right.
Like, you think you want to go to this one school and your heart is set on it, and you don't go there, but it's not the end of the world, because no matter what you do, it's not going to be perfect, it's not going to be horrible. Everywhere you go, it's going to be okay, but...
And Sana, maybe there's an element of chance, whom you meet, which courses you take, that you can't plan and plot out. It seems that people think if they can position themselves and plot out every single thing and every single move, they'll be happy, but there is an unpredictability about life. I'm off the soapbox now. Sarah?
I was going to say about the college process, I really loved being at Mamaroneck, and it was a wonderful school, and it did prepare me very well for the future. However, there's a lot of competition, and I think it's really important. I go to school very far away, and I don't know that many people from New York, and I don't know that many people who went to high schools like mine. And it's not like this in the rest of the country, always, you know what I mean? Like, you don't need to, you don't need to buy into this whole drama about who's going where and who applied early. And like, I applied to school and I didn't tell anybody. You know what I mean? When I got in, it was a complete shock, and I had people coming up to me being like, I didn't know you were smart. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's, like Sana was saying, it's not what you're going to expect, and people are going to go to places that because they want to, and you're going to meet people, and you're going to be happy where you go. But you don't need to, you know, it's not all about getting into the big names, and it's not all about the competition, because, you know, in a year you're going to look back and be like, what the hell, that
And
didn't make
so
any
But
sense.
Sarah, it seems like so much of your self-image and who you are is based on getting into what you call a big-name college that people can't shake it, and that's hard. That's hard. Richard and then Cole and no.
I go to a school, a lot of people who know, like some of my best friends, when I told them what school I was going to, they kind of were like, what? You're going where? Like, you're not that kind of person. Because my school's kind of known as like this kind of hippie epicenter in the middle of the country. And that like, you eat a lot of granola and like walk around and listen to, you know, Fish and the Grateful Dead. And I got there, and there is that element. It's definitely there, but that's not what it's all about. And I've actually fallen in line with a lot of people who don't feel that way and are a lot like I am. And I think I found a good fit for myself. And if I don't like it, I mean, and everyone who is applying to college this year should remember this. Can always transfer, you know? There's always that possibility. It's a lot easier to do, too.
Already leaving.
Yeah.
I'm going to Harvard next year.
Jamie, you're going to say something, Jamie. Go ahead.
I think what I was just going to say is that I think the most important thing is that in anything you do, whether it's applying or when you get to college or the classes you register for or even the people you meet, you just really have to keep an open mind because things are not what you like expect them to be all the time, and that's not necessarily a bad thing because your experience is really what you make of it. And like I just like whether you get into your dream school or you don't, I think that you really can like create the situation based on how you go into it, and if you keep an open mind, I think it's just so much easier to adapt and make it a good place for you.
That was said eloquently, Charlotte.
Along with what Jamie is saying, when I only applied to 2 schools, and the one I actually wanted to go to, I didn't get into. And the one that I go to now, I never thought I'd like it. Like, the coach randomly called me one night, and I was like, I'm never going to go there. And I go there now, and I love it. And I don't regret my decision at all.
So would your decision to high school seniors be just relax a bit?
About everything.
Yeah, even what people go through, you remember what you went through with the AP courses and thinking if you take X number of APs, you'll get into one school.
Does
it?
It doesn't matter.
It's so hard. It's so hard for them now. Go ahead, Sam.
Well, I mean, I don't mean to sound like critical or anything, but this is the most uncomfortable bleacher I have
No idea.
in my life.
Thank you for that comment. I know it's getting hot, and actually we're going to end in a second, but
It's important to, like, what I've learned when I got to college is that college shouldn't be like a 4-year hiatus from life, is what I've, like, you have to keep thinking, and I think that the reason why it sometimes hits people really hard, like, later on when they're in college is because it's like you don't think. It's like you're just going through this is like the schedule that, because you're afraid. It's like, and that's a normal reaction because it is a huge transition, and but if you're not, I think it becomes worse if you don't really like take the time to analyze like what you're doing, and it's just like people tell you, oh no, it's like just a great time, and like it's a great time, but it also should be like hard, and it should be difficult, and it should not, things like what Sana was saying, it's not supposed to be this perfect like cloud 9 for 4 years and then like life is horrible from then on. It's like
so many times you heard people
it's
be like,
life. It's part of
it's
life.
the best 4 years of your life.
Right.
And when people are like, college is the most amazing thing, I'm like, but it's just life. Like, life is not always amazing. Like, you know, like sometimes it sucks. It's like, whatever.
One day it can be awesome, and the next day you can see
and
like,
that makes
cry.
it better.
Yeah, you cry and like you want to go home
Yeah.
and miss your parents and like.
So let me.
Another day, it's great. Yeah, it's true. I know, that's what I'm saying. No,
So let me end. So let me end on.
I don't ever want to leave.
Let me end on a personal note. I think this perhaps is the longest alumni reunion show I've ever hosted, and I'll tell you why I say it as a compliment. I could sit here and talk to you guys for another hour or two, and I think it's a sign of the attachment I have for the class of 2005. I miss you a lot, and I can't believe that you're not walking around the school every single day. So thank you so much for joining us. I wish you a happy new year, a good vacation, and could you wave and say hello to your parents out there?
Happy birthday.
Good.